Some people don't know how to handle challenge, pain. When they go through little, it affects them, it demoralizes them, it changes them, and in just a matter of time, they put on this gown, this crown of depression, and they live with it. And if one's not helped, down the road, it will manifest again.
Come on, everybody, get on your feet today. How many of you serve a big God? How many of you serve a big God? Can I hear you shout in this
place? These are not normal times. We are living in challenging times, perplexing times, and I believe many are wondering, when is this coming to an end? For the last 4 weeks, our news media has been dominated with this news on coronavirus. Many are worried, and many don't know what to do next. Do you realize that staying at home, if you have no special plan or you have nothing to do, you get bored, and boredom can lead to other things? I am coming to you with a special message that I believe will help you whilst you're home. I'm dealing with depression. How to conquer depression. It is very critical and important for us all to hear this message, because you'll find something beneficial in this message which will be helpful to you. And should you be struggling with depression, this is going to be your way out. I pray and I wish you the best as you listen to this message.
The title of the message is Conquering Depression. I'm going to make certain things aware or clear to you. And I want you to see if any of the things that is being taught today applies to your life. And if it does, make sure you get the necessary benefit from this information. We're talking about conquering depression. This is a silent disorder or silent illness or silent disease that many people don't like talking about. I want you to pay very close attention, because this may come close to your home, or it may even have implication in your very life. I would like to give the definition and also some of the symptoms of depression. And as I give the definition and symptoms of depression, as you pay attention, find out if what is being shared applies to your life. What is depression? Or what are some of the symptoms of depression? Let me tell you what depression is. Depression is persistent feeling of sadness and isolation. Persistent feeling of sadness and isolation. Definition and symptom of depression also is feeling of hopelessness and dejection. The feeling of hopelessness and dejection. Do you feel hopeless? Do you feel dejected? Symptom and also definition of depression is inactivity as a result of difficult in thinking and concentration. When you don't feel like doing anything because you cannot think straight, you cannot concentrate, you have difficulty in putting things in order, putting things in line. And as a result of it, you don't feel like doing anything. Another definition of depression and symptom of depression is loss of interest in life. Loss of interest in life. Are you going through whereby you really don't feel whether living or dying is, it's just like you've lost interest in life. You've lost interest. And I'm going to come deeper. Please pay close attention, because this will apply to you. And this is a very important message that you need. It is unfortunate that these things are not addressed. Church don't address this. Church don't address this. We get a little high, happy, jump a little bit, shout a little bit, preach ourselves happy, break sweats, and the real issues that needs to be addressed are unaddressed. I'm separating religiosity from reality. So many people are so engrossed in religion that they have actually dismissed realities of life. If you've lost interest in life, it means you may have a symptom of depression and not even know it. And another important one is if you have suicide tendencies, thoughts come through your mind, man, if I can take my life, if I can keep my life, if I can jump off a cliff, if I can take pills, if I can hang myself, if I can do this, thoughts come into your mind, and many times you don't know where they're coming from. So as you can see, depression is not the kind of thing that most of us talk about. Depression is not the kind of thing that the church even addresses. And it actually runs freely in all areas of society. You'll be amazed to know that even though we don't talk about these things, they are real and they are affecting precious lives. Persistent feeling of sadness and isolation. If you always feel that way, you will go through depression. And let me tell you what depression can lead to. Depression definitely can lead to what? Suicide in the end. Let me tell you some things that depression does that most of us don't even think about. It could lead you into mental illness. It is a taboo to talk about mental illness. The church don't talk about it because preachers at times and most often suffer from it. Politicians don't talk about it, but most of them suffer from it also. Doctors may not talk about it, but some of them suffer from it. Psychiatrists can also what? Suffer from it. The entertainers can suffer from it. Fathers and mothers can suffer from it. Sons and daughters can suffer from it. Everyone is not immune to depression. Depression is also a disorder that affects the human mood. Do you know that in America alone, more than 44 million adults suffer from depression? In America alone. More than 44 million adults suffer from depression. I'm not even talking about adolescents or children depression. I want you to hear me very well. In America, many of us are made, especially if you have attained education, if you have attained certain position, or by a family name, you do not want people to know that you have this condition or suffering from this. You keep it under wraps. Do you know how many people are taking pills or medication? Do you know how many people do not want anyone to even know that they're suffering by these conditions? And because depression comes in different ways or comes in different forms, it is good for me to lay at least 4 of basic ones before you. And maybe you've heard this term used by your doctor, or you felt or you read it, or you know something about it, but at least at times you don't want to what? Face it. Let me just give you the different types of depression. There's one called major disorder. Major disorder. This is a depression that most of us have heard about. Some of you have heard of major disorder. Suffer from major disorder. There's another one I want to mention to you. It's called bipolar. Bipolar disorder. Somebody who's bipolar. There's another form of depression, which is called the postpartum. The postpartum is when a woman gives birth. There are some mothers, many women, they go through this. The moment a child is born, they go through what you call depression. Somehow, anxiety for being away from a child. They go through depression. Happy mothers or happy with pregnancy. The moment the baby is born, the woman takes on a new personality. The woman is sad one moment, happy one moment, but at times just don't feel like doing anything. There's another one which is called seasonal affective disorder. Seasonal affective disorder. This disorder comes and goes. It comes with seasons. In fact, when I lived in England, when I lived in Europe, before I moved to the United States of America, I lived in England. When I got married, I took my wife to England. We stayed there for a year before God brought us here. But there's something interesting. When you go to cold countries or countries where they don't have enough sunshine, people suffer from depression. Suicide goes high. You see, Africa, blessed. They may not have anything, they may not have much, but at least every child can at least give you a smiling face. Here we've got everything. We don't know why we're not happy. We've attained everything. We don't know why we're not happy. Seasonal. Some people go through the seasonal. The season is when they remember the day that they got divorced, when they remember the day the husband, father, or brother, or uncle died, when they remember the day, then they go through depression. So many people are suffering from seasonal affective depression. They get depressed. Valentine's Day comes, they get depressed. Easter comes, they get depressed. New Year comes, they get depressed. Some people get depressed on their birthday because they hate the fact that the color of their hair is changing gray. People go through these kind of disorders, which you ask, my. You see, in Africa, when people are crazy or people are mentally ill, you don't have to be a doctor to notice. They walk down the street naked. If you go to developing countries when people are mentally ill, you know they're ill, actually by their doings. But here, you take pills to prop it. You dress well. Do you know how many crazy people are driving down the streets every day you go past? Thank God that they don't bump into your cars. That is why when you get out of your home every day, be thankful to the Lord that you are able to go to work and come home safe. Do you know how many crazy people are out there? They are not mentally ill. They are really crazy. Mentally ill people are those who are mentally ill and they know they've got a problem. Those who are crazy are those who don't acknowledge they've got a problem and they do things to harm others. There are crazy people out there. Have you heard the statement, oh, he has flipped or she has flipped? Oh, maybe you flip from time to time. Do you know that 1 in 5 people suffer from clinical depression? 1 in 5 suffer from clinical depression. 1 in 5. Listen to me very carefully. You need this message. You need to be properly informed. And we need to find remedy for that which is of importance. You see, I've been a Christian all my life. I grew up in a home where Christianity and faith was what we do. I didn't learn to pray as an adult. I was praying as a little child. We have family devotions. Early in the morning, Daddy and Mom will gather all of us, the children, and we'll pray. I knew all of these things. But I realized with time, as I lived, as I faced reality, I realized that we are all different, yes, unique, yes. But most of us are also struggling with different conditions and situations. Problems are handled or managed differently based on our disposition or our orientation. Some people don't know how to handle disappointments. Some people don't know how to handle challenge, pain. When they go through little, it affects them, it demoralizes them, it changes them, and in just a matter of time, they put on this gown, this crown of depression, and they live with it. And if one's not helped, down the road, it will manifest again. And 1 in 5 suffer from depression. Let me project this truth to you. It's a fact. It is reality. Depression has no respect for nationality. Depression has no respect for ethnicity. Depression has no respect for race. Depression has no respect for gender. Depression has no respect for economic status or societal positioning. It makes no difference what position you have in society. It makes no difference your economic status. It makes no difference your race, your gender, your ethnicity, or your nationality. Depression is depression. Kings can be depressed, and servants can be depressed. Royals can be depressed. Commoners can be depressed. It makes no difference. You may be dealing with something, and deep within you, you're crying out for help, and you don't know who to go to or where to go to or where to get the help. Let me tell you the good news. If you suffer from these conditions, you are not alone. There is help available, and you can actually overcome it. But before you overcome it, first, you have to acknowledge it. Second, you have to be able to realize the impact it's having in your life. And third, you have to be willing to get the help that you need. You see, what you don't acknowledge, you can be helped from. What you don't accept to be reality, when in the fact it is a reality, you can't get the help that you need. You have to first acknowledge it, face it, then if there's help that is offered to you, accept it. Our world is crazy. Society has gone mad. People that you admire, people you respect, people you look up to, people you will never ever for a minute doubt their integrity or character. Some may be outwardly character correct, but depression has taken over. It is common everywhere, but you have to acknowledge if you've got a problem and deal with it. And deal with it correctly. If not, you're going to go through the emotion. And you will actually not only drain yourself, you drain people along with you. There are many times we are following people who have got a problem, but not admit they got a problem. Anytime they're in crisis, you are there to save them. But yet they don't admit to the fact that there are some changes that they have to invite into their lives for their condition to leave them. Let me make a joke here and continue. If you are married, and from time to time, or you are a son or daughter, and from time to time, by correction or discipline, or by disappointment, and negative thoughts come into your mind, strangle him. You are borderline crazy. Hasn't it happened to you before? You'll be talking to somebody and something will tell you, slap them and see their reaction. You are being tempted by craziness. This is a reality. But we have to deal with it and face it and recognize it. And if people will be honest to acknowledge what they are struggling with, they can get the help that they ought to get. I don't care how spiritual you are and how godly you are and how correct you are and how educated you are. Listen to me. Some of these things happened not by your doings. It happens without your control. And the fact that this is happening to you, if there are ways you can get the help, please do so. Because I want to give you certain basic facts that can help us to get into the Word and see where we can get help. What brings on depression? Or what can bring on depression? Listen to me carefully. There are many things or many factors that can bring on depression. Hear me well. One, depression can be brought on by chemical imbalance in the brain. Chemical imbalance in the brain. Chemical imbalance in the brain. It can cause depression. Chemical imbalance can occur before birth or in your human development or over time. It can also occur by accidents or things that happens to your life. Chemical imbalance. What can bring on depression? Another thing that can bring on depression is hereditary. You can inherit depression. It's generational. And let me tell you some things also that bring depression. Listen very carefully. Excessive stress can bring on depression. Excessive stress can bring on depression. Excessive stress can bring on depression. What are some also things that can bring on depression? Traumatic events. When you have traumatic events, when you have trauma in your life, it can bring on depression. Traumatic events can bring on depression. Are there more? Yes, there are more. Can you tell us, besides the chemical imbalance in the brain, the excessive stress, and traumatic events that happen in our lives? Yes, I'll tell you some things that can also bring depression in one's life. That is family matters. There are so many problems in families. Family matters can actually bring on depression. If there are problems in the family that is not resolved, it can trigger depression. Oh, is that all? I don't suffer from any of these things. Yes, I know. Let me bring some reminders here and see if this thing comes close to home. Financial matters or financial issues can also bring on depression. There are so many wonderful families. They don't have any problem until financial issues comes up. It puts so much depression in the family. Ladies and gentlemen, hear thee or hear thou me as I make this assessment. Many times you may call your husband couch potato. He's not couch sitting on a potato. He's a man sitting right in the sofa. But he may be going through depression because of your nagging on financial matters. Men, listen to me. The reason why some of you at night, many times, you don't get what you need from your wife is because your wife is depressed. She is depressed by your comparison and all the negative things you keep pushing down her throat. You keep reminding her that you don't have money, and constantly you're fighting about money. Your wife is depressed, and you even don't know it. It all stems out of money matters. Your wife says, honey, you bring in more money than I do, but we seem not to be able to manage the bill that just my little income can satisfy. Money matters can bring depression. Financial matters. Listen, let me just bring it home. Those of you who go to church and don't believe in contributing financially for the advancement of the work of God, you make Satan happy. And when Satan is happy, he puts all kinds of gifts on you. Depression is a gift from the devil. He puts it on you because if you keep God's word tight, the devil will come and collect it and you pay interest. Satan don't do nothing for free. Just like God. God doesn't do nothing for free. Guess what? Depression sets in your family. But we got everything, but we're not happy. My boy is not happy. My husband is not happy. My wife is not happy. The family is not happy. I mean, no matter what I do, it's not enough. There's something going on in the family. This can trigger depression. Is that all? No, there's more. Bad relationships. Bad relationships can also bring on depression. Bad relationships can bring on depression. You are doing good all by yourself until she came in your life. Until he came in your life. At least you could manage the stress. But this one is a stress beyond tread. It can enter into depression. You hear his name, then your heart. I mean, have you heard of somebody? There are some people, when you hear their name, you just go into panic attacks. You hear their names, you go into panic attacks. You change positions. You get scared just for the fact that you've heard of his name or heard of what? Her name. Depression. Is that all? No. Abuse can also bring in depression. If you've been abused, and there are different types of abuse: physical, emotional, sexual. All kinds of abuses can bring on depression. Is that all? No, there's more. If you don't know how to manage the death of a loved one, you can go through depression. So many women have not been able to overcome the loss of their husbands. So many men have not been able to overcome the loss of their wives. They take this depression into another relationship. Listen, you're in a relationship. This relationship is not good. And you're getting out of it. Make sure you get healed first before you go into another one. If not, you're going to carry depression of the old one into something that is new and mess it up. Loneliness can also bring on depression. Loneliness can bring on depression. Loneliness can also bring on depression. If you feel lonely all the time, depression can attach itself to it. Another one is worthlessness. You don't feel worthy. You don't feel worthy. You feel unworthy. I'm not worthy. I don't qualify for this. I'm not worthy. It can bring depression also. Anxiety. Anxiety can also bring depression. Anxiety. Let me bring it home. Fear also can bring in fear. In the Spanish, I'll use the word miedo. Fear will bring in depression. Temor could mean fear of God, but this miedo, fear, unnecessary fear can bring in depression. Hopelessness can bring in depression. These are things that triggers depression. Emptiness. You feel empty. You always feel empty. Vacío. Feel like there's nothing. You empty. I'm so empty. There's empty. This can lead into depression. Then this ones I'm going to mention, pay very close attention. Failure and shame. Failure and shame can also trigger depression in your life. Failure and shame. Now, I've spent much time to address these areas so that at least you understand failure, then also shame. Shame. Vergüenza.
Thank you very much for watching. And on behalf of Life International, we wish you God's very best. It is our hope, our prayer, and desire to inspire you regularly and make sure that you succeed in every area of your life. We would like to give you an opportunity to contribute to Life International so that our broadcast can reach many more around the world. Continue watching, share us, and mention us to all of your friends. Thank you so much, and God bless you.